Hello, I'm Tari. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make beaded fringe earrings like the one you're seeing on your screen. If you've never made this type of earring, please refer to my previous video where I demonstrate step by step on how to make fringe earrings. That is exactly like this type with the triangle at the top and the V at the bottom. If you've never made this type of earring or you haven't mastered it, please refer to my previous video. It will be much easier to understand this one after you've watched the previous video. In this video, I will not be focusing mainly on how we stitch it all together, but mostly the pattern. So if you're in doubt, please do check it out. I'm going to put materials for this tutorial in the description box. So to start, I'm going to pick 4 beads. 4 red beads. As you have noticed, red is my main color, so it's 4 beads first. Pull them down and leave a tail, a reasonable size that you can work with at the end. When you are done, we will need to do a bit of neatening. So when you've picked the 4 beads, you take your needle and you put your needle through the first 2 beads like that. When you pull it, you should have this. Now I'm going to take my needle and put it through this bead at the top, facing downwards, and I pull tight. So this is what it's gonna look like. Don't worry too much if it's not sitting perfectly as you are starting. It will get better as you go. So now you pick 2 beads, still on the main color. You put your needle from the top, facing downwards. You pull your thread, and the 2 beads will sit right next to the others that are already there. Now we have the string at the middle. It has to come to the beads on the outer side. So I'm just going to put my needle from the bottom just through the bead next to it, facing upwards. I pull my thread, and now it's on the outside beads. It's time to pick 2 beads. Now my needle goes in from the bottom, facing up. I pull my thread, put my needle through the bead next to where the thread came out, pull it out, pull tight, and I hold firm the beads that I have already stitched together. I hold using my index and my thumb to make sure that they sit in place. I pick 2 beads again, and I'm going to put my needle through the beads, the beads right next to where the needle came through. So the needle is going to go in through the top like that. Pull my thread. So I'm sure by now you have noticed that we're just repeating a few steps over and over again. I'm going to keep repeating these steps until I have 15 steps of this ladder. This is called a ladder stitch, so I need 15 of these sets. 1 2 3 4 5. So now I have to do 10 more. Another thing to note is if you want to achieve this V at the bottom, the steps on your ladder when you're making your foundation, you have to work with an odd number if you're gonna have this V effect, because we need 1 right in the middle like this one, and then 7 on this side, 7 on the other side. So we'll have 7 on the left, 7 on the right, and 1 in the middle. You don't have to work with 15. You can do 13, 11, whatever you want to work with. But if you want to achieve the V effect, make sure you work with an odd number. If you work with an even number, something different will come out, or you may have to just change it a bit. But for this tutorial, we're going to be working with an odd number, and today I am doing 15 steps of the ladder. So I'm going to keep adding 2 beads to my ladder until I have 15 steps. So now I have 14 steps on my ladder. I'm going to be adding the last 2 beads for this ladder. I pull tight, put my needle through those 2 beads from the bottom going up, and I have 15 steps on my ladder. So now we're going to work going upwards. So whenever we are starting a new line, we have to pick 2 beads. So firstly, I'm going to pick 2 red beads. I'm going to be using these lines that are sitting in between the beads, the string. See those strings sitting in between the beads? That is where I'll be putting my needle through to build the brick stitch. So you leave the first one, the string sitting between the first 2 beads, and you go to the second one just underneath that string. That is where the needle goes through. I hope that is clear. Let me put that close a bit so that you see what's happening. You see that? Yeah, that is what you're supposed to do. So I'm just going to pull my string tight, and now I'm going to move my needle and bring it through the first bead, the bead that is on the outside. See that? The needle goes through that bead facing upwards, and then for our third step, the needle goes through the second bead, and just as it goes through the second bead facing downwards, also make sure that the needle goes under that thread in between the second and the third bead. Let me bring it close so you can see clearly. You see that? See what happened? My needle went through the bead, then under the thread, then out. I pull tight, and now my needle has to come back up, but this time through the second bead only. You see that? The needle goes through the second bead facing upwards. So each and every time you are starting a new line, that is how it's supposed to be. I pull my thread, and there, the beads are sitting just on top of each other. So now it's time to pick one bead, one red bead, and I'm going to add it on. Again, it goes through the thread that's in between the beads. Now I'm working with the third and the fourth bead, like that there. That's where the needle goes through. And now the needle has to come back up through this bead. Like that. It's coming back up through that one bead that I just added. I pull my thread, and everything will just sit together neatly. See that? I'm going to pick another bead and add it on the way that I've just shown you, and it goes back up like that. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 beads sitting there on top of our foundation. Now it is time to introduce black. Black will be the color that I'm using for my border. As you can see on the one that I've made here, I have a border, and then I have other colors in between those little diamonds. So at this point we start introducing our black. So it's just one black bead, right? You bring it out, and at this point we're going to add 4 red beads. So I'm going to add 4 red beads, and then we'll put black again. I'm finishing off with the 4th bead, the 4th red bead. Let's count them just to be sure. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 red beads, and it's time to put black again. So this black bead will be for our second diamond. We're going to have 2 diamonds at the bottom and 1 at the top. So that's how it goes. So we've added the second black bead for our border for the diamonds, and guess what? We're going to add 4 red beads again, and by then we'll actually be at the end of this line. So I'm going to add 4 red beads, and then we will start on the next line. So I'm done with that line. Now it's time to start working on a new line. And whenever we are starting a new line, when we are doing a brick stitch, we start with 2 beads. So I've picked my 2 red beads. And there, the first 2 beads are sitting nicely and neatly. Now it is time to pick 1 red bead. And add it on. Pull my thread tight. Don't forget to pull your thread. Pull your thread and make sure your work is sitting neatly. Now it is time to add a black bead. So there's a little trick to this pattern, very simple. When you are done with your foundation, right, on the first line, when you are doing the brick stitch, just as we are moving from the ladder to the brick stitch, you'll be working with 4 red beads, then black, 4 red beads, black, 4 red beads. Now we have reduced our red beads. It's 3 red beads, then black. Then we're going to add our first color, which is going to be blue, right? When we have added the color, we're going to put another black bead, and we'll have 3 red beads. We'll repeat the process that we're going to do here on the second black bead, and we'll finish off with 3 red beads again. I hope that was clear. If not, I hope making it practical will do. So now I'm adding the blue bead, 1 blue bead, and now it's 1 black bead. Now we go back to red. So I'm going to add 3 red beads. But with the 3 red beads, it's 1 at a time, right? I trust that you already know that part of the process, that we're adding one at a time. Don't pick three. If you are not sure of what we are doing here, please go and watch the previous video. Oh, how I dislike this. So I've just realized that I made a mistake. I was not supposed to add my blue on this line. I was supposed to add my blue on the next line. So I'm going to undo and start from the black bead. I am so sorry about that. If you're fairly new to beading and you're not sure on how to undo this, it's actually very simple. You just pull the thread that is right at the top in between those beads. You just have to do it one at a time. You pull and the bead will fall off. So I am back to where the trouble began. So after adding the black bead, I'm going to add another black bead. So it's going to be 3 red beads, 2 black, 3 red beads again, 2 black, and 3 red beads to finish off the line. So I'm adding on the other black bead. Make sure it is neat. All right, we're in the right direction now. So I'm going to add 3 red beads. I've added 3 red beads. Now I'm going to add 2 black beads, and that is 1 black bead at a time. So I've picked my black bead, 1, I add it on, and now the second one, and add it on like that. So this is where we are at. Now I'm going to add 3 beads one at a time. One will sit in between these 2 beads, the other one here, and the last one here. So I'm done with my line. Now we're going to start off with 2 red beads. So as you can see, we keep reducing the number of our beads. We started off with 4, now then 3. Now we're going to pick 2 red beads and then put black. So I'm going to add my 2 red beads. Now I'm going to add a black bead and then color. So I'm going to start off with blue. I'm going to refer to the one that I made before. I have blue in the middle of the diamonds, then yellow, then green. So that is just what I will be following. So now I'm going to add 1 blue bead, and then I'm going to add 1 black. So on this line, we started off with 2 beads, right? So it means here we're going to have 2 beads, and then we're going to repeat what we did here, 1 black, 1 blue, and 1 black. So I'm going to pick 2 beads, 2 red beads, picking 1 at a time, add them on, and then I will go back to black. I've added my 2 red beads. Now it's time to add black. 1 black bead, And this time we're picking a yellow bead to go right next to this one. So one yellow bead, and finish off this part with another black bead. See? Now I'm going to finish off this line with 2 red beads. It is time to start a new line, and I'm starting off this line with 1 red and 1 black bead. So because on the previous line we had yellow on this side, we're going to add 2 yellow beads here, then black. So now I'm going to pick 1 yellow bead. I add it on, and I'm going to pick another yellow bead. And now I'm going to add a black bead. Like that. So because this line we started off with 1 red bead, it means right here in the middle we need just 1 red bead. And that is what I'm going to do. 1 red bead, then 1 black bead. Now we need blue. 2 blue beads, adding 1 at a time. And now I'm adding on 1 black bead. 1 black bead, then 1 red to finish off this line. It is time to start a new line, and I am starting off with 1 red and 1 black. I've added my red and my black. Now I need blue. So I pick 1 blue. And now I'm going to add black. We're finishing off this diamond. And to separate these diamonds, at this point we need 2 red beads. I've added the 2 red beads. Now I need a black bead. One black bead. Now 1 yellow bead. I've added the yellow bead, and now I need 1 black bead. And finally 1 red bead. And I'll be done with this line. All right, there we are. It's coming out well. So it is time to start a new line, and I'm starting my line with one red bead and one black bead. See that? Yep. I'm going to add them on. Now I need another black bead. We are closing off this diamond, finishing off. And now I need one red bead. And remember, we have another diamond at the top here. So it is time to start putting the border lines for that diamond. So I've picked one black bead to add on. And now one red. I add my red bead. Now I need one black. Actually, I need two black, just one at a time. So I've put one black bead. Now I add on the second one. And to finish off this line, I'm going to pick one red bead. And there. This is where we are. I'm just going to turn this. I find it much easier to work from the right going left. And once again, I'm going to start my line with one red bead and one black bead. And look what we have here. We finished off this diamond that has blue beads in the middle. So we carry on by picking one red bead and then one black bead. So I've added on the one red. Now it is time for black. One black and one black again. We are building on the border for the second diamond. So we have our two black. Now we need a red. So one red bead. We need to finish off this diamond here. So next, I'm going to pick one black bead. And finally, one red bead. All right, so those two diamonds at the bottom are completely finished. I just have to work on the last one. So I go on to start a new line. For my new line, I've picked two red beads. Here are the 2 red beads sitting neatly. Now I need 1 black. 1 black bead to widen the diamond. And now I need green. 1 green bead. One black bead. And now I need 2 red beads to finish off my line. Next line starts with 1 red and 1 black. I've picked my 1 red bead and 1 black bead, and I add them on. Now I need green. And green again. Now I go on to black. And I finish off the line with red. 1 red bead. Next line, I've picked red and black, 1 red and 1 black. Now I need 1 green bead. Pick my 1 green. Now I need 1 black. And finally 1 red bead. We're making good progress. Now I need 1 red and 1 black for the new line. And I'm going to add these on. I've added my 2 beads, my 1